"Can you pretend to be my son today?" 70-year-old veteran asked Hell's Angel. What happened next? When the old man stepped toward the leather-clad biker, the hospital lobby went silent. His voice shook, but his eyes did not. "Can you pretend to be my son today?" What happened next wasn't charity. It wasn't pity. It was something neither of them expected. The December air outside St. Mary's Medical Center in Flagstaff, Arizona, cut like broken glass. Wind pushed dry leaves across the parking lot, scraping them against chrome and asphalt. Inside the hospital lobby, heat hummed softly through ceiling vents. Christmas lights blinked around a plastic tree near the reception desk. A volunteer adjusted a crooked ornament. Somewhere down the hallway, a heart monitor beeped in slow rhythm. 70-year-old Walter Green stood near the entrance, hands trembling slightly against the handle of his cane. He wore a faded Marine Corps jacket. The elbows were worn thin. On his chest rested a small ribbon bar carefully pinned that morning. His white hair was combed straight back, though the wind had tried its best to undo it. Walter kept staring at the glass doors. He was waiting. Across the lot, engines roared. 5 motorcycles rolled in like thunder, deep, heavy, unapologetic. The unmistakable winged skull patches of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club flashed across black leather vests as the men dismounted. Hospital visitors stiffened. A nurse paused mid-step. A young mother instinctively pulled her child closer. The tallest of the bikers removed his helmet slowly. His name patch read Rex *, 6'4". Broad shoulders, gray in his beard. A long scar crossed the side of his jaw like a lightning strike frozen in flesh. Walter swallowed. This was either the bravest or stupidest thing he had ever done. The automatic doors opened. Cold air rushed in with them. Rex stepped inside first. His boots echoed on the tile floor. Walter tightened his grip on his cane. He took one slow step forward and asked the question that would change both their lives. "Can you pretend to be my son today?" The words barely carried across the lobby, yet they felt louder than the engines outside. One of the bikers let out a short laugh. Another muttered something under his breath. Rex didn't laugh. He studied Walter carefully. Up close, Walter looked smaller than he had from across the parking lot. His skin was thin, almost translucent. His blue eyes held something deeper than fear. They held shame. "Why?" Rex asked simply. Walter's throat worked before sound came out. "My daughter-in-law is upstairs," he said. "Room 412. My son, my real son, he passed 2 years ago. Cancer." The words hung in the air like frost. "She doesn't know," Walter continued. "She thinks Daniel and I were close. I told her stories, told everyone stories, that we fished together, that he called every Sunday." His jaw trembled. "The truth is, I pushed him away. After Vietnam, I wasn't easy to live with." The word Vietnam carried weight. Rex noticed. "I buried my pain in bottles," Walter said quietly. "He grew up afraid of me. We hadn't spoken properly in 10 years when he got sick." Silence pressed in. "She's about to give birth," Walter whispered. "My grandson, she asked if I'd be there. She said, 'Dad, Daniel would want that.'" His voice cracked. "I can't walk into that room alone. Not after the lies. I just need 1 day, 1 hour, so she sees what I should have been." He reached into his coat and pulled out a folded photograph. A young man in his 30s, same eyes as Walter, same stubborn chin. Rex stared at it. The resemblance was there. The lobby waited for his answer. Behind Rex, the other bikers shifted uneasily. "This is crazy," one of them said quietly. "We got a ride to make." Rex didn't turn around. "What branch?" he asked Walter. "Marines," Walter replied automatically. 1968, Da Nang." Something flickered across Rex's face. "My old man was Army," Rex said. "Came back different." Walter nodded slowly. "Most of us did." For a long moment, neither man spoke. Then Rex asked the question no one expected. "Why me?" Walter looked at the leather vest, the rough beard, the scar. "Because you look like the kind of man my son would have grown into," he said honestly. "Strong, not afraid." That answer landed heavier than anything else. Rex's jaw tightened. He hadn't spoken to his own father before the old man died. Too much anger, too many slammed doors. He remembered getting the phone call from the VA hospital. He remembered not going. Behind him, one of the bikers muttered, "Rex, don't!" Rex slowly removed his leather vest. He folded it carefully and handed it to his friend. "You guys head out," he said without looking back. "You serious?" another asked. Yeah. The lobby felt charged. Rex looked down at Walter. I'm not doing this for show, he said, and I'm not taking money. Walter quickly shook his head. I don't have much anyway. Rex gave the faintest hint of a smile. Then let's get this right, he said. What was your son like? Walter inhaled sharply. And for the first time in years, he began telling the truth. They sat on a vinyl bench beneath a blinking exit sign. Walter spoke in fragments at first, small pieces. Daniel hated loud voices, he said. He loved drawing, always carried a sketchbook. Rex listened. He wanted to build houses, said he liked the idea of people feeling safe because of something he made. Walter's hands shook harder now. I told him real men joined the military. Rex's eyes shifted slightly. I pushed him, Walter continued, not with fists, with disappointment. He stared at the floor. He became an architect anyway. The word sat heavy between them. He married a nurse, Walter added softly. Her name Emily. She's stronger than both of us combined. Footsteps passed in the hallway. A baby cried somewhere in the maternity wing. Walter wiped his eyes with the back of his sleeve. I missed his graduation. I was drunk. Missed his wedding. I was angry he didn't invite me to give a speech. He looked up at Rex. When he got sick, he called. I didn't answer the first time. The silence afterward felt endless. Rex leaned back against the wall. You answer the second, he asked quietly. Walter nodded. I got there before he passed. He swallowed. He told me he forgave me. Rex exhaled slowly. But you haven't forgiven yourself, Rex said. Walter didn't reply. He didn't need to. A nurse stepped into the lobby. Walter Green, she called gently. Walter froze. That's us, Rex said before thinking. The nurse glanced at him, then at Walter. Something in her expression softened. Your daughter-in-law is asking for you, she said. Walter's breathing quickened. Rex stood first and offered his arm. Walter hesitated only a second before taking it. They walked down the hallway together. Old boots beside hospital sneakers, leather beside faded cotton. At the elevator, Walter whispered, if she asks something you don't know, I'll listen more than I talk. Rex replied. The elevator doors closed. Upstairs, a new life waited, but so did the truth. When the doors opened on the 4th floor, the sound of a newborn crying echoed through the corridor. Walter's knees nearly gave out. Rex steadied him. Room 412. Walter raised his trembling hand to knock. Before he could, the door slowly opened from the inside. Emily stood there, pale, exhausted, holding a tiny bundle wrapped in blue. Her eyes moved from Walter to Rex and widened. Dad, she whispered. Walter's voice barely worked. Emily, this is Daniel. The room fell completely silent, and the baby began to cry. Emily's eyes searched Rex's face carefully. She was exhausted, pale, a thin hospital blanket wrapped around her shoulders. The newborn rested against her chest, tiny fingers curling against the fabric of her gown. Daniel, she repeated softly. Walter stepped forward too quickly and had to steady himself on the doorframe. He made it, Walter said, voice trembling. He wouldn't have missed this. A lie hung between them. Rex felt it, but he also felt something else. Grief. Emily's eyes filled. You look so much like him, she whispered. Rex nodded once, unsure what to say. I'm glad you're here, she added. He talked about you near the end. Walter's breath caught. Inside the room, machines hummed quietly. The curtains were half open, letting winter light spill across the bed. A small plastic crib sat beside her. Rex stepped inside slowly. He had faced bar fights, police sirens, cold desert nights. But this room felt heavier than all of it. Emily adjusted the baby slightly. Do you want to hold your nephew? The word hit Rex in the chest. Walter's eyes widened in panic for a split second, but Rex moved forward, carefully. She placed the newborn into his arms. He had never held a baby before. The child was impossibly small, warm, fragile, real. The baby's crying softened. Rex looked down at him, and something inside his ribcage shifted. What's his name? Rex asked gently. Emily smiled through tears. Walter Daniel Green. Walter let out a broken sound. The baby stirred. And for the first time in years, Walter didn't feel like a fraud, but the truth was still waiting. Time slowed inside room 412. Emily watched the two men carefully. You know, she said softly, Daniel always said he wished things had been different. Walter's hands tightened around his cane. Rex kept rocking the baby gently, eyes down. He forgave you, Emily continued, even when you didn't think he had. Walter nodded, unable to speak. Emily studied Rex again. "There's something about you," she said quietly. "The way you stand. It's like him." Rex swallowed. "Guess we're built from the same stubborn parts," he said. Emily smiled faintly. Then her expression shifted. "He used to sketch motorcycles when he was a kid," she added. "Dad hated it." Walter closed his eyes briefly. Rex felt that sentence like a quiet explosion. "He had notebooks full of them," Emily said. "Said engines sounded honest." Rex almost laughed. Almost, but he didn't. Instead, he whispered, "They are." Walter looked up sharply. A nurse entered briefly to check vitals. The moment paused. When the nurse left, Emily looked at Walter. "He wanted you here today," she said firmly. "Not the version of you from the stories, the real you." Walter's breathing grew uneven. Rex felt it beside him. The tension in the room wasn't about pretending anymore. It was about confession, and the clock was ticking, because lies don't survive long in rooms filled with new life. An hour passed. Family photos were taken. A nurse offered to snap one with Walter, Emily, and the baby. Rex stepped back instinctively. "No," Emily said gently. "You too." Rex hesitated. Walter looked at him with something close to pleading. So Rex stepped into the frame. The nurse counted down. Flash. For one frozen second, they looked like a family untouched by damage. After the nurse left, silence returned. Emily shifted slightly in the bed. "Dad," she said carefully, "there's something I never told you." Walter stiffened. "Daniel tried to call you again, a week before he passed." Walter's world narrowed. "I was there," Emily continued softly. "He didn't leave a message. He just listened to your voicemail greeting." Walter's chest felt hollow. "He wasn't angry," she added. "He just wanted to hear your voice." Tears slipped freely down Walter's face now. Rex stood very still, holding the baby. "I changed that voicemail the day after he died," Walter whispered. "I couldn't stand hearing it anymore." Emily nodded slowly. "He knew you loved him," she said. "He just didn't always feel safe around you." The truth had finally entered the room. Rex looked at Walter. No judgment, just understanding. Walter stepped closer to the bed. "Emily, I need to tell you something." Rex's heart pounded, because this was the moment, the one that would either break everything or heal it. "I asked him to pretend," Walter said. The words came out raw and uneven. Emily frowned slightly. "What?" Walter turned toward Rex. "I saw him outside. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't think I deserved to walk in here alone." The room felt smaller. Rex slowly handed the baby back to Emily. "I'm not Daniel," Rex said gently. Emily's eyes widened. Walter's shoulders sagged as if something invisible had finally fallen off them. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I was scared. I've been scared for years." Emily looked from one man to the other. There was no anger in her face, just exhaustion. "And you?" she asked Rex quietly. "Why did you say yes?" Rex exhaled slowly. "My father died before I could fix things," he said. "I figured if this man still had a chance, maybe I shouldn't stand in the way." Silence settled. The baby shifted and made a soft sound. Emily looked down at her son, then back up at Walter. "You should have just told me," she said. Walter nodded through tears. "I know." She reached for his hand. "You don't have to pretend to be better," she said softly. "Just be better." Rex felt something in his chest loosen. Because forgiveness doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it whispers. The winter sun had shifted by the time Rex walked back toward the elevator. Walter followed slowly beside him. "You didn't have to stay," Walter said quietly. Rex shrugged. "Yeah," he replied, "I did." They stopped in the lobby. The Christmas lights blinked steadily. Rex's biker brothers were gone. Walter looked smaller again, but lighter. "I told her the truth," Walter said, "for the first time in decades." Rex nodded. "That's harder than fighting," he said. Walter gave a weak chuckle. Would you ever visit?" Walter asked hesitantly. "Not as Daniel, just as yourself." Rex thought about it, about the baby, about his own father's hospital room he never entered. "Yeah," he said finally. I think I will." Outside, snow the cold air rushed in again as the doors Christmas opened. Had come and gone, leaving behind bare trees and quiet streets. Rex stood outside St. Mary's again. This time he wasn't asked. He came on his own. He carried no leather vest, no patches, and for the first time, just a small cardboard
in
box
a long
tucked
time,
under his
Ethan
arm.
Callahan
Inside
didn't feel
was
like a
something
man
he had
just
built with his own hands. Upstairs, Walter sat in a chair beside Emily's hospital bed. The baby, little Walter Daniel, slept in his arms. Walter had been visiting every day, not out of guilt, out of choice. The door opened. Walter looked up. For a moment, surprise flickered across his face. Then something softer replaced it. "You came back," he said quietly. Rex nodded once. Emily smiled from the bed. "I was hoping you would." Rex stepped forward and placed the cardboard box on the side table. "I heard he likes engines," he said. Walter opened the box slowly. Inside was a small wooden motorcycle, hand-carved, smooth edges, tiny moving wheels. Walter's hands trembled as he lifted it out. "You made this?" Emily asked. "Yeah," Rex replied simply. Walter stared at the toy. "My son used to sketch these," he whispered. Rex met his eyes. "I know." And in that moment, there were no lies between them, just shared understanding. Weeks turned into months. Winter softened into early spring. Rex began stopping by every Sunday afternoon. Sometimes he brought small toys. Sometimes he brought nothing at all. He would sit in the living room while Emily fed the baby. Walter would make coffee. They talked, not about the past at first, about simple things, weather, engines, diapers. One afternoon, Walter cleared his throat. "There's something I never told anyone," he said. Rex leaned back in his chair, listening. "After Vietnam, I used to wake up thinking I was still there. I'd yell, throw things. Daniel was 5 the first time he saw me like that." Rex nodded slowly. "My old man used to do the same," he said. Walter looked up. "I thought fear would make my son strong," Walter admitted. "It only made him distant." Silence filled the room. Then Rex spoke. "My father never apologized," he said quietly. "You did." Walter stared at him. "That counts," Rex added. The baby stirred in his crib. Walter walked over and gently picked him up. This time his hands didn't shake as much, because healing doesn't happen in dramatic speeches. It happens in small, steady visits. One afternoon in April, Walter found a sketchbook tucked inside an old storage box. Emily had brought it down from the attic. It belonged to Daniel. The pages were filled with motorcycle designs, detailed, careful, dreamlike. Walter flipped through them slowly. He brought the sketchbook to the garage where Rex was adjusting something on his bike. "I think this belongs to you," Walter said. Rex wiped his hands and opened it. He turned the pages quietly. The designs were good, more than good. "They're beautiful," Rex said honestly. Walter nodded. "I never looked at them properly," he admitted. "I didn't want to understand him." Rex closed the book gently. "You understand now," he said. Walter swallowed. "Too late for him," he whispered. Rex shook his head slightly. "Not for the kid upstairs." Walter looked toward the house. Through the window, Emily rocked little Walter Daniel near the couch. The child's tiny hand reached toward the air. Walter felt something shift inside him again. Legacy wasn't about lies told to protect pride. It was about showing up now. Summer arrived warm and bright. The baby learned to laugh, and the first time it happened, Rex was there. Walter had just made a silly engine noise, deep and rumbling. The baby burst into giggles, full, loud, free. Walter froze in surprise. Rex laughed too. "Guess he likes engines after all," Rex said. Walter looked at the child and felt tears form, not from regret this time, from gratitude. Later that evening, Walter stepped outside with Rex. The sunset painted the sky orange and pink. "I used to think pretending made me stronger," Walter said quietly. "Like I could rewrite my past." Rex leaned against his bike. "You can't rewrite it," he replied, "but you can stop running from it." Walter nodded slowly. "You ever think about your father?" Walter asked. "Every day," Rex answered. Walter hesitated. "You could have walked away from me." Rex shrugged. "Yeah, but then I'd still be walking away." The truth of that sat between them, and it felt steady. On a cool September morning, Walter stood in the backyard holding his grandson. The leaves had begun to fall again, almost a year since that hospital day. Emily watched from the porch. Rex adjusted something on his bike near the driveway. The baby reached toward Walter's face and grabbed his nose. Walter laughed, really laughed. He looked toward Rex. "Hey," he called. Rex glanced up. "Yeah." Walter's voice was firm this time. "Thank you, son." The word wasn't pretend anymore. Rex didn't answer right away. He walked over instead. He rested a large, steady hand on Walter's shoulder. "You're doing all right, old man," he said. Walter nodded. For the first time in decades, he believed that might be true, because sometimes family isn't rebuilt by blood. Sometimes it's rebuilt by courage, one honest moment at a time. The wind moved gently through the trees. And this time, Walter didn't feel alone. If this story touched something in you, if it reminded you of someone you lost, or someone you still have time to forgive. Don't wait. Call them, visit them, tell the truth. And if you believe in stories that heal, subscribe, like, and press the bell icon for more.